Hi everyone, welcome to Test Prep Training. In this video you will learn about some commonly asked questions in designing a Blue Prism, version 6.0, Technical Architect. So let's get started. Question number 1, which of the following methods would be a valid approach for capturing process execution errors? Select 3. Your options are A. Calling an external program to send SNMP traps. B. Logging to event log and collecting via an external tool. C. Selecting Send to External Monitoring Tool from the Blue Prism Process Designer. D. Generating emails from the process. The correct answers are option A, B, and D. Question number 2. What must be considered before operating multiple runtime resources on a single Windows desktop? Select 1. Your options are A. There are no conditions, only one runtime resource can be set to listen per Windows session. B. Each runtime resource must listen on a different port, and the processes which run on the device must not impact other processes on the same device. C. Each runtime resource must listen on the same port, and the processes which run on the device must not impact other processes on the same device. D. Each runtime resource must listen on a different port. The correct answer is option B. Question number 3. What restrictions should be considered if using XenDesktop for delivery of the runtime resources? Select 2. Your options are A. Login agent must be used to initiate the login to the device versus the Citrix client. B. Only version 5 of Blue Prism is supported with XenDesktop. C. Login agent is only supported from version 7.6 of XenDesktop, due to restrictions on third-party credential provider support prior to this. D. XenDesktop is not a supported platform for the runtime resource. The correct answers are option A and C. Question number 4. What should be considered when configuring high availability and disaster recovery scenarios for availability of business processes managed by Blue Prism? Select 2. Your options are A. Resource pools and active queues can be used to distribute work to runtime resources which are online. B. The runtime resources are stateful devices, therefore any failure or maintenance event should also be taken into account in the process design and scheduling methodology. C. Using a load balancer and 2 application servers will ensure high availability of an automated process. D. Use the setting within a Blue Prism process to force a process to fail over to an alternative runtime resource in the event of a failure. The correct answers are option A and C. Question number 5. When is virtualization of a dedicated interactive client system most appropriate? Select 2. Your options are A. Interactive clients should never be virtualized. B. For process development helps to ensure the interactive client has the same configuration as the virtualized runtime resources. C. Where the developers are geographically separate to the Blue Prism environment. D. To ensure a high latency connection between the interactive client and the application server. The correct answers are option C and D. Question number 6. What security is applied to data that is encrypted by Credential Manager when stored? Select 1. Your options are A. The credentials are managed by the Windows Credential Store, and the security applied is proprietary to Microsoft. B. The credentials are encrypted by the application server for storage in the database using either 3-day or ATA02-256 and a user-generated key. C. The credentials are encrypted by the application server for storage in the database using either 3-day or ATA02-256 and a secure key hard-coded within the application. D. Credential management is held using session variables, and security is applied based on the process logic that is defined. The correct answer is option B. Question number 7. What should be considered when configuring high availability and disaster recovery scenarios for the Blue Prism runtime resources? Select 2. Your options are A. Providing high availability for the runtime resource will guarantee the SLAs for a business process. B. External load balancing solutions may be used to direct connections from a runtime resource to an appropriate application server. C. DNS round robin with a low time to live setting may be employed as a simple mechanism for distributing connections between multiple application servers. D. Set each runtime resource to point to at least 2 application servers in its configuration file. The correct answers are option B and C. Question number 8. What are the primary reasons for regularly backing up Blue Prism production databases? Select 2. Your options are A. To assure performance. B. To maintain the latest copy of live process automations and configuration. C. To maintain an accurate record of the processing history. D. To maintain a copy of the base VM image that is used to generate runtime resources. The correct answers are option B and C. Question number 9. What is the difference between a runtime resource and a process? Select 1. Your options are A. There is no difference, the terms are synonymous. B. A process represents a definition of the automation steps and logic. Runtime resources execute the steps defined within a process. C. A process represents a definition of the automation steps and logic, and a runtime resource is an executable containing all of the logic within a single process. D. A runtime resource represents a collection of processes which is used as part of release management. The correct answer is option C. Question number 10. Why is it important to control remote console access to the runtime resources? Select 1. Your options are A. Because runtime resources are used to control the scheduling of processes. B. Because runtime resources will always have administrative-level access to the Blue Prism database. C. Because runtime resources will always have administrative-level access to the Blue Prism control room. D. Because runtime resources will be executing automations, where data may be visible or a transaction could be manually interfered with. The correct answer is option D. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel.